11 trains, 11 loops, a sequel to the 9 train series. 11 train wooden track electric train layout. Initiative provided by Caleb Matthews. Designed by Gary Schick. Video by Gary Schick. June 2025. This is a sequel video from the 9 train series, featuring 11 electric trains moving at the same time across a complex wooden track layout. Please watch all 3 parts of the 9 train series before watching this video. In this sequel, we improve the 9 train layout and increase the number of trains to 11. Both the 9 trains layout and the 11 train layout occupy 18 feet by 11 feet and use 3 levels of train track. The dimensions and important features and characteristics of the original 9 trains layout remain the same, but there are significant differences. The 9, well actually, 10 train layout is on the left. The 11 train layout is on the right. There were imperfections in the 9 and 10 train layouts that I really wanted to address. Tracks that were not optimally aligned and train stations that were hastily constructed. Also nagging at me was the lack of a reversing loop route. So I set to work on this revised layout to address these items. And so this sequel came to be. Can you find all the differences in the layouts? I will give you some more clues about important differences. First, several train stations are different and there is a new station added. Second, 2 route paths were changed enough to notice. And there are subtle changes in a few of the other route paths. Third, many track support structures were changed. Finally, there is a new track route on the right. Okay, you may say the trains are not at the same locations, but at least the first 10 trains are the same for those routes. There is a new train visible in the new photo on the right, near the center. You may be able to find more changes if you look closely. We showed the photos of the first 9 trains in the 3-part series. 9 trains, 9 loops. Here we show the 10th and 11th train and zoom in on the 2 newest routes. Route A was called Route 10 in the 9 train series. This route was renamed and the path modified to remove a problematic sharp curve. To eliminate the sharp curve, we used viaduct supports, as I will explain later. Both loops access the eastern edge of the layout, but Route A is a relatively small loop in the northeast. Route B is larger, and the track crosses the layout from the southeast, well into the southwest where the track enters Southwest Station. Route B, the 11th loop in the layout, is a reversing loop. In part 2 of the 9 train series, I described a reversing loop, although that layout did not have this type of loop. In a reversing loop, a section of track must be traveled first in one direction, then the other to complete the loop. In the track section where Route B is traveled in 2 directions, there is also an elevation change. The track changes elevation from level 1 to level 3 when the train travels west, or from level 3 to level 1 when the train travels east. When you watch the trains in motion, you will see how this works. Building routes in congested areas? You might think adding additional routes is easy. Certainly all one needs to do is install elevated track over the layout. No, it is not that simple. There are many constraints, but the first one is making sure that any level changes are completed before an underlying track is crossed. If the ascending ramp is ascending over a track, the train underneath will not have enough clearance. The ascending ramps are long sections and therefore require sufficient clear space underneath. So, the length of an ascending ramp is the first constraint we have. After an elevated track reaches the higher level, we will have a problem if an elevated track support is required at a location where there is underlying track. Here, the photos illustrate issues encountered in building elevated track in congested areas in the layout and show how we overcame these. These photos show 2 situations where viaduct supports are useful. Also shown are 2 situations where a short track extension clip is used to shift the location where track support is needed. Before we get to the 11 train action video, we need to address a concern. It came to our attention that not everyone is certain that there are as many trains and train loops as we claim. Or, even if it is accepted that the count is correct, people cannot find all train route paths in the videos. So, we made an animation that traces the routes and allows you to see the path more clearly. First, we trace odd number routes, next the even number routes, and finally the two new routes, labeled A and B. To help you follow along, a route ID, number, or letter appears during each trace. The trace ID currently in progress is highlighted by a rectangle on the track where the route trace starts and ends. The ID label is also found on the tracks. Route B is traced last. Watch the trace for Route B carefully to see the bidirectional travel. We trace a train path slowly to make it possible to follow the trace motion, so it takes on average about 45 seconds for each route. Since there are 11 routes to watch, please grab a beverage or snack to enjoy while watching the presentation. I hope you are convinced there are 11 routes and have a sense of where the routes are found. I have 2 more items to clarify. The first item is to refresh your memory about the Lego train stations. 10 stations were needed, so that there are at least 2 stations on each route. There are 5 stations in central areas of the layout shown here. Many improvements were made to these stations compared with the stations in the 9-track layout. As before, we show a photo of each station, a location map, and a chart that lists which routes have platforms at the station. Here we show the 5 peripheral, or outlying stations, to complement the 5 central stations shown in the prior slide. In Part 3 of the 9 train series, we saw that with the construction of what is now called Route A, we also needed to build the East Station and add a platform at North Station. Now, with the addition of the 11th loop, Route B, we needed to add Southeast Station and a platform for the route. We provided a connecting platform for Route 2 at Southeast Station. If there were more building resources available, Southeast Station could be merged into an expanded East Central Station. Southwest Station was changed significantly. The platforms at Southwest Station are now connected by a large overpass building. Also, a Level 3 platform for Route B was added. Other peripheral stations were also improved. Mechanical switch configuration. This is the second and last item to clarify. The chart and diagram shown here tell us how to set the mechanical switches and create 11 independent loop routes. Altering a setting will cause a train to exit a loop onto a track already in use by another route. In this layout, every loop has at least one exit and at least one entrance, and used when trains are traveling the circuits. The layout now uses 28 switches to set the loop routes. There are 5 unnumbered switches used to access sidings. 3 of these siding switches must be set correctly to avoid derailment problems. This diagram and chart have been amended from the 9-loop chart. The new exit switches for routes A and B are shown as A1 and B1. The entrance to Route A is set at switch 7.3. The entrance to Route B is at a switch designated 2.2. The previous switch, 2.2, is renamed switch 2.3. This recap slide helps us keep track of 11 trains. The table lists a home station name and a description for each train to help with identification. Finally, we are ready to watch the 11 trains in motion. I hope you enjoy the 11 trains sequel video. You may want to refill your beverage cup or gather a snack to enjoy while you watch the trains in motion. As usual, I may have follow-up questions to make sure you were paying attention. Thanks for watching. 11 trains, 11 loops. Please like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Wooden track electric trains. Gary Schick. Use quotes in the title to make your search specific. Thank you for watching.